my name is Ankit Sharma. This is the section on the discussion on debatable questions in polity from the prelims paper 2021. Before we enter into the discussion, there is a preliminary remark that I want to make. The agenda for this discussion is not to just hand you the correct answer and cite a source in which it is mentioned as a correct answer. This is impossible for one reason, that some of the questions are not directly taken from any sources. There is a reasonable application of mind which is necessary in coming to an answer. Second reason is that it would be a waste of your time to give you only the correct answer without telling you the rationality, the intelligence, and the explanation behind how we arrive at one correct answer as opposed to the other answer. So our claim is not that we are giving you the right answer. Our claim is that we're trying to develop a conceptual and explanatory background as to how we can answer a question which is challenging us conceptually, and only limited information is available in our cognition while we are attempting a question like that. So it has a broader agenda than only trying to give you the correct answer. Having said that, let's move to the question that we're discussing today. Today's question is question number 86 from set A of the exam. Let's read the question. Which one of the following in Indian polity is an essential feature that indicates that it is a federal in character? Now, the question is seemingly simple, but there is a debate around two options competing each other for the prize of accuracy. We can easily rule out D and C. D says the fundamental rights are enforceable by courts of law. This indeed is a feature of Indian Constitution, but the character which is tries to safeguard is the character of a liberal democracy. Liberal democracy by definition means where individual rights, interests, and freedoms are protected. And for that kind of a protection, you have fundamental rights which have to be given a kind of a remedy by the courts of law. So this is pointing to the right to constitutional remedies in the Constitution, relates to a liberal democracy, but does not have a very direct relationship with the federal character of a polity. Now, option number C is also incorrect, because option number C does not give any real power. It is upon the whim, the fancy, the fondness, political calculation, or discretion of the central executive as to who is inducted into the cabinet. There is no statutory or constitutional obligation under which the central executive has to work. Therefore, it does not add any real power or value to the federal character of Indian politics. So these two options can be easily ruled out. And once we have ruled out these options, we can come to look at the two debatable questions more clearly. Now, option number A says independence of judiciary, which is indeed a feature of federalism. And option number B points to the union legislature, which has elected representatives from constituent units. As you can see, there is a very clear and close contest between A and B. Both of them will be found in standard textbooks as being elements of Indian polity, which indicate that it is federal in character. In a situation like this, how do we make a judgment? Now, to make any judgment by the rules of scientific method, we have to run a kind of a process of proving why one hypothesis is better or more accurate than the other. So the hypothesis, the experiment, or the evidence making exercise, it has to be devised to come to it, and that's what we have done. We have tried to understand this question from the angle of other constitutions. Let's say if I take other polities of the world. Other polities of the world may include the countries of United Kingdom and United States of America. One is the oldest democracy, and the second one is the most powerful functioning democracy in the world today. Now, Indian Constitution has elements which has been borrowed largely from the United Kingdom Constitution, but it would be a mistake to think that the other constitutional scheme of things like the USA did not have anything to contribute to the Indian Constitution. If we are going to compare these two constitutional schemes on the elements which are given us as options in the question, they can be divided into two very simple parts. Let's say the question about independence of judiciary. Now, the question that we ask ourselves is this, that is there independence of judiciary in United Kingdom? Is there independence of judiciary in United States of America? The answer is yes. In United Kingdom, there is an independence of judiciary, which implies that the executive in the United Kingdom can be disciplined, its rules can be declared as illegal, its actions can be declared as ultra vires by the judiciary of United Kingdom. The United Kingdom Supreme Court was established as late as 2009, and there is an implication in saying that the legislature in the United Kingdom is superior to any other organ, including the judiciary and the executive. But when it comes to a contest between the judiciary and the executive, the judiciary has substantial independence in disciplining the executive. Let's take an example of what I'm trying to demonstrate over here. If you look at this news article, it says Supreme Court of UK says suspending Parliament was unlawful, judges rule. Now, this is the Supreme Court of United Kingdom, and this news made headlines at a time in 2019 when, at the height of Brexit crisis, Boris Johnson had prorogued the Parliament, had suspended the functions of the Parliament because there was an intense debate which was causing political discomfort for the executive at that point of time. When this matter was taken to the Supreme Court in United Kingdom, it was declared that it is unlawful to suspend the functioning of the Parliament. Now the Supreme Court can do it only when it has no fear or favor to be afraid of from the executive. Now, this is what qualifies as judicial independence. Similarly, United States of America has judicial independence. We can take a look at another news article that is shared over here, courtesy Economic Times, lesson from the US in judicial independence. You can pause the video and try to read this. In summary, I can give you an understanding of what it says. It says that after the very hotly contested elections in the Supreme Court in the United States of America in 2020, there was a lot of challenges brought to the Supreme Court by Donald Trump, challenging the validity, legitimacy, etc. of the induction of the new government. The Supreme Court maintained its independence without yielding to any pressure from the central executive into deciding that there was nothing illegitimate or unfair with the process of election. Now, this is an example which was cited in this editorial as a lesson in judicial independence. So we have a proof in saying that United States of America also has judicial independence. Now we are halfway through our explanation. If I have to do a simple logic of understanding this, that UK and USA and India, all three of them have the character of judicial independence. But can we also say that all three of them have the second option given to us in the question? The Union legislature has elected representatives from constituent units. The United Kingdom does not have elected representatives. The upper house in the United Kingdom is known as the House of Lords, but the House of Lords is not a body which is populated by elections in terms of giving representation to members from constituent units. It is a group of people who are appointed under the hand of the Queen on the advice of the executive with some amount of legislative control, which means that the House of Lords in United Kingdom is not a representative body representing the interest of the constituent units. Okay, so we can just mark it like this, that it is not a representative body. In United States of America, we know that it is a principal, archetypical federal polity, and there is a very strong case for saying that there is a representative body from the constituent units which is representing the cause of the state units in the union legislature. Till 1913 in the United States of America, the Senate, which is a counterpart of the upper house in United States of America, did not have elected representatives, but people were appointed by the executive, which gave a lot of powers to the union vis-a-vis the federal units. In 1913, an amendment was brought about in the American Constitution stating exactly this, that unless there is an election of representatives from the constitutional units, from the constituent units into the union legislature, there cannot be a federal character to the American polity, and therefore an amendment was brought into 1913 to include this as the population of Senate through election. This is what we know as the Senate of the United States of America. Now, in Indian polity, you are all aware that there is a very clear representational body in terms of the Council of States and Rajya Sabha, which has been instituted since the inception of the Constitution itself. Now, the difference that I'm trying to highlight over here in point is this, that in the United Kingdom, we do not have a federal form of government, we have a unitary form of government. In USA, you have a federal form of government, and according to the question, we are already assuming that India has an element of federal character in its polity. We can take a look at which is a common element between the two federal polities. The common element between all three is judicial independence, which means that even a unitary form of government has judicial independence, and certainly these two have judicial independence. So it is not necessary for a federal polity to have judicial independence. But what is necessarily coming out as an argument from this is that the representational body which is present in USA is also present in India. And then from this we can conclude from this kind of an exercise that all federal polities have an representational body at the union legislature, and therefore we can conclude that this is the essence of a federal polity. Now, it is obviously given as a disclaimer in the start of the session itself that we are not claiming this to be absolutely correct an answer, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop a methodology which is strong, which has valid reasons to support it, and then we are trying to put an argument as to why one option sounds more accurate than the other option in a situation where there is definitely scope for a lot of interpretation. So that is our task for this session. Thank you for your time and patience. The question is marked right as B, but with the qualification that it is our interpretation of the question. If you have any suggestions, comments, feedbacks, or oppositions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you.